Okay, well, welcome in, everybody. We're so thrilled to be here today with all of you. Welcome to Wildnote Live episode 8. Today, we're really excited to be talking about the Wildnote ArcGIS integration right now for iOS, Android coming soon this year, right, Kristen?
Yeah, put the pressure on. Good
Android's
job.
going to get some love there as well. I think we'll go ahead and get started, and we've got a few things to show today. So basically, the
chat is disabled, or should we be using Q&A?
Yeah, we'll want to be using Q&A to share. So any questions that you have, feel free. I think I also put a setting in on this particular episode where everybody can respond to questions. I know that we, at least through our signups, we have quite a few folks coming on who are actual GIS professionals, which is not me and not Kristen. So there may be questions that come up, and if you have information to share with the group, please do so. So Wildnote Live is a little bit different than our Lunch and Learns in that the purpose of this is really to demonstrate the platform, talk about the power of the platform, and then actually show features to our current customers and to folks that are on that aren't customers, how the actual platform works. So that's what we're going for today through this episode. So thanks again for being here. We're going to have a little overview. We have a few slides to share, then we'll go into a live demo. And throughout the course, feel free to pop in with questions and answers. The first thing I want to do is start the poll, though, so that we can get some information and understand actually who's on the call here with us today. So please answer the poll questions for us. That'd be very helpful. And kind of guide the way that we focus this excursion that we're on today.
So call out to all GIS folks that if they're on the call right now. Nancy kind of alludes to this. We're not GIS experts, so we're learning. We're on a high learning curve, which that's our most enjoyable place to be. So we're stoked, but we really, really want to make this a good integration, especially for all three personas, but GIS in particular. And so if you want to help drive the direction of these features, then please let us know, and we will work together with you to make sure it's seamless. So
yeah, that's the goal. Absolutely. So Kristen, let's pop into the next slide while folks are filling out the poll. So this is for people who are on the call today who are not current Wildnote customers, just to explain sort of the general concept of our platform. We call ourselves the Environmental Consulting Platform, and we are a true platform in that we're not just focusing on one small single niche. We're here to support all of your environmental data collection reporting needs. So the Wildnote platform is comprised of both the web application and then a corresponding mobile application for both iOS and Android that works offline. So you start with the web application. It's project-based. Each project consists of the people working on the project, their specific roles on that project, the forms that you're using to collect your field data, and then the kinds of exports that you need to satisfy any of your stakeholders through that process. So that's what you see here in this slide, designing your custom forms or choosing from a very robust library of really forms that are designed for environmental consultants. I think we've got probably close to 200 forms in that library now, and they're not just lightweight forms. These are specific forms, everything from collecting data, for obviously our workflows for cultural work and wetland work, but also for all kinds of biological data, stormwater, etc. Sync that over to your mobile device. That's the next item in the slide here, and collect your field data offline. Sync that back where you do your data QA, QC, and exporting, and then generate your reports. We have some really nice out-of-the-box reports that are very quick, and I think that's where we have worked hard to achieve. We're not Microsoft Word, and that's on purpose because we want to allow you to get your deliverables out quickly. That means that you might not be building your 300-page report in Wildnote, but for your data collection that you're working on, where you're getting that field data and it needs to get off to, CDFW or to the core, etc. we're a great tool for that kind of thing. And we've kind of niche, I mean, niche is the wrong word, but we really support construction compliance, wetland work, cultural work. And we've had a lot of cultural companies come onto the platform recently. Restoration work, absolutely. Mitigation banking. We've got some really great tools in the toolkit for those folks as well. So that's a little bit about our platform for those of you who are not familiar with it. Next slide. All right, so Wildnote mapping. Okay, so unified solution for all environmental roles. We, over the years, have really heard about the needs of all of the personas who are working with mapping. So everything from the actual, the GIS professionals who I now have such an immense level, higher level of respect for, trying to learn this stuff, as Kristen said, drinking from a fire hose, to our project managers who are having to efficiently get projects started and get their team collecting data, to our field folks who are using a mobile data collection app and their frustrations and desires and wishes for how they'd like to work with, both the ability to collect geospatial data, then also the other associated data with those geospatial items. So we've given a lot of thought to that, and our goal really is to create something that works for all of those personas and makes life easier for all the personas, and that, your feedback is welcome in that process. So we've kind of broken this into three parts. The import, so importing your existing geospatial assets to reference in the field. We've got that nailed right now. So you can do that. If you don't know that, we're going to go through that workflow today and show you how to do that. You can create new features in the field. We're going to show you what we are currently in QA/QC ourselves with. So most of you who are on the call who are existing customers know that you can collect project locations and points right now. We're adding to that lines and polygons, and we'll be demoing that today. And then exporting. Currently, you can export a geodatabase file, a GeoJSON file, and a KML file and a tabular file in terms of getting data out of the system and then into ArcPro, for example. We are decided to hone in on GeoJSON as our export type of choice for all the geospatial data. Would love to hear comments in the comment field from our GIS people. If that's, yes, will that work fine for you? And we'll show you on ArcPro what the workflow is for that as well.
Well, we also will eventually build out ArcGIS API allows us to build out the ability to save from Wildnote into your ArcGIS online environment as a feature layer. So that will come eventually. We'd also like to hear from GIS professionals if that's something you would prefer, or you'd actually prefer the GeoJSON. We've heard a couple different opinions about that.
Yeah, we have. And also from project managers, are you going to prefer to export a file that you send over to your GIS team?
Right.
Or would there be interest in being able to click a sync button and send that layer of Wildnote collected data right to ArcGIS Online?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And now we're going to go into our live demo.
Right. I'll stop sharing.
Stop your share. Okay, and I will share. Okay, so the first thing,
I'm seeing your ArcGIS online.
yeah, we're gonna come in here.
Okay.
All right, so we are now, and I'm gonna throw in some orientation for folks who aren't familiar with our platform. We're now in our web app, and I've come into this particular new question types project from our project listing page, which when you log into Wildnote, you come into your list of projects. And you can see that I've got new question types and then wetland, cultural, and construction projects that I'm going to show aspects of, just to kind of wet your whistle. Again, please remember, we aren't GIS professionals. We don't have degrees in this, so we're learning as we go. The things I'm showing today are going to be really basic, just to get you an idea and an understanding of where we're at with this. Looks like there might be a question in the Q&A. I don't know if
it's done.
Okay, very good.
It was actually a Arc Online preference.
Okay, very good. So the first thing I want to talk about is how is this whole thing working? So there's two aspects to the web application that are changing. The first one has already changed. So this is the ability to bring in your assets, as Kristen was mentioning before, to view on the mobile device in the field. You can either bring in your private assets or you can bring in public assets. And I'm going to show you where you set that up. So I'm going to use this new question types project, and this is going to be under project setup info. And you will expand advanced settings and go all the way to the bottom. So when you get down here to the bottom, you'll see there's a ArcGIS integration beta section. The first thing is to decide how, if you are bringing in public layers, everything is public, you can ignore this first question. And you could simply paste in a public web map portal ID or add in your ArcGIS hosted layers. So for example, if you're doing wetland work and you wanted to bring in the US soils map or the NWI map, you could paste those layers right in here. And when you go to your mobile app and sync, you'll have those layers available to you on the mobile app. Okay. Now, if you have, most of you are going to have private maps that have been created by your GIS department. And in that case, you would click in and select user ArcGIS credentials as your method of logging in to see those assets. And when you're in the Wildnote app and you go to use the map, you'll be asked to sign in with your Esri credentials in order to access whatever data is included here. So for your web map and your hosted layers, some of you might on this call might not even know what that is or where that's located, but the GIS people will know. So I'll just dip over really quickly and show you how to find this information. You would log into your ArcGIS online account and go to your content pane. And from there, whatever asset you're wanting, whatever web map or feature layer you're wanting to include in Wildnote, you'd simply click into that item. And from there, you would, once that loads up, you would go to the details page on the right-hand side here and grab this ID. So this is the ID that you would bring into the project here under the ArcGIS web map portal ID. Now, if you're grabbing a layer, then if this was a layer, you would scroll down and there would be a layer URL. It's not here. Let's see it. We'll show that real quick as well.
This is a map, I think.
Yeah, this is a web map. So there's no
layer.
Some web maps do have URLs as well, but
Oh, really?
I have seen that for sure. So then if you're in on a feature layer, there will be a URL in that same side of the page a little bit further down. And that's the URL that you would grab. That's going to be down here, right here. So you just copy this URL. You have to end the URL with a /0, FYI. So if you do put a URL in and it doesn't work, check to make sure you have a /0 on the end of that URL.
I'll fix that soon.
So that pops into the ArcGIS hosted layers, and you can put in multiple hosted layers. Yeah. So you can have as many hosted layers as you would like to display.
Yeah,
okay.
That's answering Jennifer's question. So okay. Jennifer dropped.
Great. Okay, so that's a little bit about how to set that up. That is live right now. So if you are a current customer, you can go to any of your projects and input things like project boundaries, again, any layers that would be of interest. Yeah, polls, any assets that you want to be viewing in the field where you want to see where you are in relation to that. In addition to that, and I'll show this when we're in the mobile app, but the assets are coming in with that. The table data is coming in with that. And again, pardon me if I mix up my words sometimes because this language is all new to me as well. So your table attribute data will come in as well with that. So you're able to drill down and look at what that information is. And you can turn those layers on and off as well. Okay, so from there, I want to talk about new question types. So again, for those of you who have used Wildnote, you know that you can build your own forms. So under project setup in the form library is where you do that form building. And I have, oh, I'm in the wrong one here, sorry. Wrong project.
That's the right one.
New question types. So project setup, form library. I've already set up a very basic form with the 4 geospatial question types that we have. So I'm going to show you, this is the builder that we're coming into. And so we now have 2 additional question types called polyline and polygon. So when you add a new question in any of your forms, and this is being QA'd right now, so not live yet, but will be soon. You would come into your question type and head down to geographic, and you see the 3 types right there. So this is the way that you bring this information into a form for your field people to collect that data. At some point, we will also have a project level concept where you could collect geospatial data that's associated with the project at large. So this is form-based right now. And if you need that project level concept, you can create just a form that only has your geospatial data in it that's not associated with other data. So for example, for wetland users right now, you can create a wetland boundary form, and I'll show that in the wetland project, where you're just using that to collect your wetland boundary data. Now, again, for folks who maybe are not familiar with Wildnote, thinking of that, I just did want to remind you all that we do integrate with a variety of GNSS receivers, Trimble R1, I think the Trimble Terraflex as well, if I'm not mistaken, the EOS Arrows, and the Bad Elf Pro, and there's one more I'm missing, Juniper Geode. So if you do need higher level accuracy, we do integrate with those GNSS devices. Okay.
In terms of the answering Stephen's question, the /0 indicate that it's a single layer in point of, so the web map is can bring in multiple layers, and you can bring the web map in via that portal ID. You can also, in addition, bring in layers, and that's where we need the /0. I was assuming a hosted layer only had one layer to it, but maybe that's not true, actually. Because he's saying, so for maps with multiple layers, you may have URLs ending with /1//2.
Oh, okay.
But if you're just asking about web maps, the web map comes in via the portal ID.
Yes,
There's no need for a /.
Correct.
And then on the layers piece, I guess we're still figuring that one out in terms of, can you have multiple layers in a hosted layer?
Right. It sounds like we just need in the / number, and then that will work. So good to know. So now let's pop into the to my iPad, and we're going to show you how the new question types work. So Kristen, can you verify that you're seeing?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So this is the project that I was just in on Wildnote, new question types. And here's the form that I created just with the question types that we have that are for geospatial items. We'll hit start collecting data. And once we come into here, the map information is contained in the 3-dot menu on the top right. So if we click into there, you can see that we have 2 map views. We still have the old Google map view here, but we do have the ArcGIS map view up above that that's in beta. All right. And currently there's not going to be anything in that. And we're going to add, well, there is actually a location that was created, but we're going to add some more information to this map. So we're going to click the back button and go into the form. The first thing we'll do is create a location. Now, locations have existed. These are project locations that our current users use for things like sample points and wetland work. They use locations for site numbers and cultural work, locations for polls, for bird nests, all those different kinds of things. So those still exist. And you can still create your locations on the fly. You can see that one location that was already created. To create a new location, we changed the location of this button actually in this iteration. Just tap that, type in your new location, we'll call that loc 2. And that's created now. And we'll display on the map. Now, I think if I touch, yeah, then you can edit that if you need to. Now, dropping a point. So we're going to go ahead and do all of these things, and then I'll show you how to edit as well. I'll get into some satellite view here. And when you drop a point with Wildnote, it grabs it automatically here. So in order is, and it gives a type as point, and you can label these items now. So when we go into editing, I'll show you how you can label, relabel the point name to be whatever you want it to be. So then we're going to do a polyline, and what you have is a create menu here. And as soon as you come into here, you can begin to make your line just by dropping points. So as you can see over here, I'm going to just kind of trace this trace this line here. And oops, I don't want that one that just jumped up to there. So there's an undo. If you want to drop to your current location, that's what the drop choice is. So if I were to touch that right now, it's going to bring this line back up
It
to
looks like it undid everything.
our current location
we go.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. And if I don't want that, again, I can undo. And if I don't want any of this, we can cancel. But if this is good, then we can go ahead and click save and we've got our line created. You're taken into a label, so we'll just call that line 1. Not line Q, line 1, and submit that. And it takes you back to the map view. This is something that we'd love some feedback on. I've advocated to come back into map view so you can see the thing that you've created and the label. Some others, and you can edit it right away if you need to. Others have advocated going back into the survey itself. So it's easy to get back there though. If you need to get back to the survey, you just click the back button and now you're back into the survey. And you can see that you have the polyline made with the label line 1.
And notice how we don't show the coordinates of the vertices. We do show the coordinates of the point because it's just 2 coordinates. But we thought it would be too busy to show the coordinates of the vertices, but we're open to feedback.
And those
about
do
that as
show up
well.
in the export though.
Right.
Yeah, or in the actual, in the survey on the web.
Yeah.
You see those after
Yeah.
sync. Okay, so next is polygon creation. Similar, very similar process, right? So you're in here, and if we wanted to create a polygon around this building.
Around the old folks' home.
There you go, the old folks' home, exactly. It's as simple as that. You can, again, drop to your location. So if I were to do that, it's going to make this look real weird. And I'll undo that, but you can drop to your current location. You can undo the last or the one before that if you're not happy with that. But once you've created it, then you would save and label. That's poly, we'll call that poly 1.
So we built the drop because we assumed you might be walking a polygon and you may have like a GNSS device. And so the idea is that you can literally walk to the spot you want to drop a vertices at that device. So your device is at that location, and it would be the most accurate way to get that vertices to that exact point.
Yes. Love feedback on that concept. That would be amazing. So, okay, so we've, created a few geospatial items. Now, how do we edit? On all of these, there's edit pencils here. So that's as simple as that. Let's go back into our point and edit our point. So I'm going to click edit, and then you're just going to touch that and drag it wherever you need to drag that to. Once you've got that, you would resave that. And then you're given the opportunity to label that. So we're going to call that point 1.
So notice that when you're interacting with a geospatial item, it's red.
Yeah.
And so that tells you, and it's got the light blue selected concept. That tells you what you're working with.
Yes. Then let's go ahead and look at polyline coming into there. If we want to edit that, you do have to touch the edit button in order to get into edit mode. So actually, this is a good nuance. I'm going to come back into the polyline, and what you want to do is follow the directions up here. Get your map situated and ready for editing, then click edit to go in, because once you're in edit, you can't move the map around. So you want to figure out, like if you want to blow this up so you can get a little bit of refinement. If I want to fix this 3rd point here and bring it over a little bit straighter, get that where you want it, then click edit, and then you'll be able to just grab these points and move them where you need to move them. Come on, point, move over.
Not moving.
No, it's moving.
There we go.
Right there. Yep. Once you get that where you want it, then you would just resave that. And you have a chance to relabel if you want to, and then submit. Now that's been saved. And if you want to go back into your form, you would come up and hit the back button again.
So Nancy, Katie Clint and Cheryl Creer, I think, are asking the same question. One is there a streaming drop functionality that just follows your page automatically, similar to field maps? And Cheryl, can you stream a polyline or polygon, or is each vertex manually dropped or placed? So I think you're talking about what we've been calling tracks, where you turn on a recording function, and then every, I guess, X amount of time, it automatically drops the vertices for you. And that is coming. That's currently not built for this delivery, but it'll be prioritized in future deliveries.
Cheryl Creer, that's coming because you asked for that. And you said how important that was. So you'll definitely get your tracks. If you want to confirm that we're picking up what you're putting down, that would be great. So coming back over here on polygon creation. So one of the things I do want to say is I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this, that after syncing on field maps, you can no longer edit your geospatial items on the mobile device that you're on. I don't know if that's 100% factual, so I'd love someone to correct me if I'm wrong about that. In Wildnote, you can continue to edit the whole time. So I believe one of our users said, make sure that mobile users can, well, we have a doggy here. Make sure that mobile users can, do data cleanup on their mobile device before they do a submission to the web. And so you do have the ability to do that all along the way, even after syncing. That's still open to you. So I just wanted to pop into Polygon again. So you get yourself situated where you'd want to make your changes to, and then click edit. And then from there you can, you press and hold in this case. So you press and hold the vertices that you want to highlight to move, and then you just, or tap, I guess, tap's the right one, not press and hold, but tap, move that down. Go down there. Whoops, I'm getting zoomed in, but that, and then we'll say
yes, you
on
can
that.
edit spatial data on field maps.
Okay.
And yes,
After
on the
sync?
tracks, you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Okay, good.
Get it? Tracks, you're picking up
Nice.
what I'm putting down.
Yeah, got it. Okay, cool. So that's where we're at with current functionality. Again, you can drop to your over here. So you've got save, you've got cancel if you don't want to do anything. As Kristen was pointing out, this turquoise line around the red indicates that you're in an editing layer at that time. Then you've got your undo, you've got your drop to where you're standing, and then you can add additional points as well on the polygon. So for that, you would touch the point that you want to add a point next to, and then we'll pop another point in that then becomes editable for you. So that's the way that works. So again, if we want to add, there's another point, now we can change that. Okay. Feel free to pop questions in about that or comments. All right.
So Nathan asked, or with the dropping of points, it looks like we would tap the screen on mobile. Would we be able to use a stylus and draw a polygon? So I answered in text that you'd be able to use a stylus to drop the points of the vertices. I'm not sure how the drawing would work in terms of when we would know when to drop the vertices.
It's like the sketch feature in field maps, I think.
Is it?
Yeah,
and then
where you can sketch on top of something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe when you like detect a different direction or something. I don't know. I'm not sure how we would know.
So no sketch yet, but we like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll make note of that. I think I've heard from people that when Collector switched to field maps, that Collector had sketch, and people really liked that ability to just fluidly draw what they wanted rather than dropping points. So we'll definitely keep that in mind in development. Okay.
From Stephanie Paz, does each Wildnote user need their own ArcGIS account to contribute if the project is linked to AGOL, which I believe is ArcGIS Online?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or is it only a requirement for the person setting up the project to have AGOL credentials, and everyone else can still contribute to the data layer as long as they have a Wildnote account? Additionally, can someone with an AGOL user type mobile worker establish the connection, or is it restricted to certain AGOL user types? Okay, great question.
Mm-hmm.
We
11:30.
it would require you would require an ArcGIS Online account if you were sharing private geospatial items that were going to be imported into Wildnote, right?
Yeah.
Because we need credentials for that to keep your stuff private. And so in that case, you can either use everyone's ArcGIS Online accounts, or there's another way. I don't know if Nancy talked about this, but we allow you to put your company's API key. that way you can sort of globally say, I want Wildnote to have access to these items, and I don't want to deal with ArcGIS credentials for every Wildnote user. So
Mhm.
that's available to you.
Mhm.
If you don't have private imported geospatial data, then you don't need ArcGIS at all. The only reason you would is if you want to then utilize our seamless integration that we will eventually build to take the data over to ArcGIS Online. I'm not sure about the user types. I don't control the user types.
No, so whatever, basically, if you have Esri credentials, you would log in with those credentials, and whatever your GIS people have allowed you to view through your groups is what you would be able to have access to. So that would still be set up from the GIS side of things. I don't know how Esri handles share, login shares or anything like that. I can say that I am like so befuddled by the way that Esri handles all of their credentialing and everything. It's crazy. It's a morass. So essentially what you need to know is you have to log in with Esri credentials that have the data, the private data associated with those credentials in order to view it on the mobile device. So,
and you might need credentials that allow you to create geospatial data if you're using your ArcGIS Online.
not in Wildnote, because Wildnote is Wildnote data. So you're
I know,
creating
but
Wildnote
if
data.
you log into the, I don't know, we'll have to test that out. So we don't really get into that, but we'll have to figure out if it affects your ability to create geospatial data when you're utilizing your ArcGIS credentials.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Is the data that was from Stephanie Paz, now we're on to Thomas Hopper. Is the data being collected into a feature layer in ArcGIS Online, or is the web map and its feature layers just serving as a background and the spatial data collected in Wildnote stays in Wildnote? Yes and yes. So what's happening here is the spatial data collected in Wildnote is actually being stored within Wildnote as GeoJSON. Then we will allow you from the web app to seamlessly integrate that data into ArcGIS Online, and we envision that it would be as a true feature layer from ArcGIS, an ArcGIS feature layer. That's how we envision this happening.
So we'd love to hear from our GIS folks that are on the call. Is that the right move? So you can either export a GeoJSON, or we can push a feature layer into ArcGIS Online that you can then grab down for ArcPro to do whatever you need to do.
And at that point, you've got the data in both Wildnote and your ArcGIS Online account. The data will always be in Wildnote.
Yeah, it will be. Now, one of the things that we were just on a call with Esri last week, actually, and they're very excited and enthusiastic about what we're doing and the pace at which we're doing it. They were their socks were sort of blown off at the pace. And one of the things we talked about on that call was actually when we build out, we don't have this yet on the web app, but eventually on the web app, when you come into one of your projects, which one am I showing next is construction. When you come into one of your projects, there's going to be we have a map view here, but this is not an Esri map view, but there will be a robust map view that shows most likely your Esri layers that you won't be able to interact with through Wildnote, but then you'll see all of your geospatial data collected within Wildnote on top of that you will be able to interact with. And that's where we envision there being a sync button that would push that data in whatever format we learn from you guys is best back to ArcGIS Online. So, and we can get a view according to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, but according to Esri, there's a way for us to bring your ArcGIS view, online view into Wildnote so you can see.
Yeah, that's what they were telling us.
Yeah, through there. So that's what's on our mind so that you can at least see what your different content items are, and then you can see the related, geospatial maps and those kinds of things.
Okay.
All right. So I want to show now, and we can continue to intersperse questions. I have 3 demo projects up here just for, like I said earlier, to wet your whistle about some workflow stuff. So the first one is construction compliance. Over the years, so many calls people have said, can we see the boundaries of our project? And of course, this would apply to cultural and wetland as well. So yes, you can now do that. So I just wanted to show what that might look like. So this construction compliance has a few bird nest surveys in them. And let me show you what that looks like on the on the mobile app. So we come into here and go to the map view. I'm not going to be collecting any additional data. I just want to kind of give you guys an idea of what this looks like. What's happened in this project is I've brought in a project boundary with poles with the different poles that are in that particular area. And this is what that looks like here. So, and oops, that's bound to happen in a demo. And come back in there, construction and map view. And this button up here takes you to sort of the center point of all of your collected Wildnote geospatial information. So we're down in Southern California for this little demo part. And you can see that we've got a boundary there. If we zoom in, we've got the poles, and I created these in ArcGIS Online. And then if we pop in there, we'll see, you know, what our information about our particular pole is. I'm forgetting the name for that. When you go from marker to marker, what's that called on the, someone's going to tell me. And then you can see that there's, you know, here's, you know, potentially a nest with a nest buffer. It's basically, you know, you can load this information in right now. So that's how, you know, it's very, very simple to put together, very easy to bring. I just brought the web map ID into the project, and then it became viewable. And then of course you can add new information. You can also turn, we didn't talk about this, but the button that's up here to the left is your layers button. So this is where you can toggle on and off your various layers. So you can control that. Station numbers, that's the word. Those are station numbers. And then over here on the right, you can also control your base map. So if you want to change your base map, if you don't have a base map already built into your web map, or you're using just layers, then you could change your base map as well if you need to do that. So that's available to you as well. So that's a little example from the construction standpoint.
Anne Palmer was trying to help you out there.
Oh, thank you, Anne. I appreciate that.
Thomas Hopper says full ArcGIS Online integration seems like the better route to me, specifically because of use cases where the spatial data exists already and the field workers are going to do regular evaluations. For example, if a town has inlet points mapped in AGOL, then during each inspection, the field could select that point on the map and fill out an inspection form for that feature.
Right, which essentially you can do. Yeah. So you can bring that, that's basically what we're describing. Yeah. And so what that would mean for the GIS people, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be the new data is collected in Wildnote, it's exported back as a layer and then added into the existing web map for the next time the inspections happen. That's a potential workflow.
Or it's still in Wildnote. So there'll be different ways to integrate that data.
But you would just build out your form. So one of the things that we've heard about over the years is, and I can really see how this is true, like GIS is amazing and complex. And usually it's really a one-to-many relationship between the GIS folks in an organization and all of the field folks and the PMs. And so one of the consistent things that we've heard is that GIS people are really impacted. They're really, really busy. And they're having to create everything. Often, if they're not using a tool like Wildnote, they're having to create the forms and field maps for the data collection and work with the project managers to get those created. And then if changes need to be made, that can be a bit of a bottleneck in terms of fast turnaround. And I mean fast turnaround, like we had a call yesterday to our team where our users needed to go out today, this was yesterday, and collect second year's worth of biological data. And they needed to know how they could adjust their form in order to, you know, do the workflow that they wanted to do. And we were able to hop on that and make that happen for them. And now they know how to do it for themselves for next year and have control over that. So balancing that, you know, the things that GIS probably really wants to be doing in terms of creating their figures and doing calculations and really creating these amazing multi-layered tools for the field people versus, you know, form design and making typo changes and doing those kinds of things, which with Wildnote, that's in the hands of the project managers it's in the hands of the project managers. So just a little bit of a kind of a.
So time check, Nance.
11:40, yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to lose people and,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna pop into this wetland test project as well, so you can sort of get an idea of that. Now in here, I created a wetland boundary form, which all that is in this particular form is a polygon question, so you can create your boundary. And then I created a repeater for other wetland features. And I just made this up, but you could, you know, get the kind of the idea of that. So, and then in that, let's go into the map view and we can sort of see what that looks like. So in this particular project, I loaded the soil map. So that's what you're seeing in the background here. If we go into layers, you'll see the USA soils maps as one of our layers.
And the legends there.
Yeah, if we tap into that, the legend is there as well with all the information for that. And I'm going to use that to pop down to this little wetland that we have right down the road that I did a quick drawing around and to map. And you can see that I created the boundary, and then there's, you know, I just put a little vernal pool in there in one of the sampling points. So that's all available. That will all be available as a potential workflow when this gets released. And popping back out of here, let's go into the cultural project here. And in this case, we have a cultural expert on our team, Rachel Roden. She's an archaeologist as well. And so we were talking through like, how's this going to work for cultural? What's going to be the key thing? Would you have a standalone form that has all the different geospatial item types in it, or would you incorporate these into each individual form? So she went with the incorporate idea. So we have a feature record where she incorporated polygons and lines. We have a prehistoric tool inventory that just has points in it, and then other associated geospatial data down here. So I'm going to pop into that view so you guys can see what that looks like. So here we've got, you know, a creek and a road. We've got these various points that are for, I think those are for, Rachel, help me. We have site boundary. Oh, these would be for your
Different things
that are found.
Tools.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were wondering, you can click go to survey and then you can see
that's
the
true.
Survey data associated with it.
Yeah, prehistoric tool inventory. Yeah. So here we have this. Yeah, those are tool artifacts. So FS1 with all that information, and then you would grab that data there, and this is where you can edit that. Now, one of the other nice things, you can see there's three forms in here, and
field specimen FS
thank
equals.
you, field specimen. Thank you. I'm learning all the time. Going back into here, if you need to get back to, so this is 3 different forms worth of, you know, collected geospatial data, and you need to make an edit to something. How do you do that? If you just touch one of those, you'll see that there's a go to survey button. So this will open the survey that particular item is located in. So it takes you right back to there. So that's a nice feature that Kristen recently built. So that's a little bit about how the workflow might work in these different situations. I want us also screen share. I'm going to stop the share here and just show you the exporting feature really quick before we wrap up here. So from an export perspective, you would come into project data export and then make sure that you have the geospatial open source export, which is the GeoJSON export type. And currently we're just exporting points, but once this is released, of course, the export will contain lines and polylines and polygons as well. And then this is the formatted file that you would send over to your GIS people to incorporate further into web maps and to do data editing on and create your figures and those kinds of things. So I'm going to stop the share here, and then for the GIS folks, go over to sharing on my other screen. And a second, I just wanted to show what this will come back soon. Okay. What this looks like on ArcPro. So to bring, and I would say you guys, everybody who's GIS knows this. I'm learning it. And again, I know what we're doing here is basic in terms of our demo, but to bring in the Wildnote GeoJSON tool, it exports as a zip file. So first thing is to unzip it, and then you'll have access to the individual files that are created as a result of that. And that really is all dependent on the structure of the form. But all of the data will come in from the export. And you're either going to anything that has geospatial information, you can do the JSON to features conversion here. I think I got features to JSON. I grabbed the wrong one. So JSON to features conversion, you would just navigate and go find your file and bring that in. And then anything that does not have geospatial data in, you'd have to do a join on, and the join would be through the survey ID if you wanted to bring that data in. I think Kristen has some ideas for ways that she might rework the GeoJSON to potentially contain everything so that you don't have to do multiple imports of the data.
The problem is that you can only do one per type, it looks like.
You just have to keep going down the list to add all of the different geospatial types in. So that would be something we'd love to work with some GIS folks on, like, is this the right way? Is there a better way? That kind of thing.
But we're getting a lot of positive around just the layer situation.
So then you can see content here. This is the project that the cultural project. So you can see that we have the prehistoric tool inventory, site, non-cultural features, etc., contained in this map that came in. And this is exactly how it came in to ArcPro without any further manipulation. And the table data is down here as well for these different things. So we've got the prehistoric tool inventory is the one that's up right now. So this would contain all of the additional information about those tools. Okay.
So there's been some questions. First, we are heading to EMC soon, I believe first week of May or something like that.
On Monday.
On Monday. And so please come by and say hi and get some cool swag. And check out talk to Nancy and Rainey and check out our implementation there.
It's 50.
Yeah, booth 50. Kristen Klefaki, I'm not going to say that right. Sorry. Kristen, is there an option to add a photo attachment to the collected feature? That's cool. I hadn't thought of that. We have a photo question in the survey that can be like right next to the area where you do say a polygon. So there is already that option, but I also will keep that in mind in terms of this sort of freeform concept to be adding photos to your geospatial items. Yeah,
so currently on the GeoJSON export, if there's a photo in the block with the geospatial item, it comes as a link. The photo comes in as a link to it's called Cloudinary, where we store the data. We'll be working on that and improving that. Photos are tricky, even for Esri, photos are tricky. So that's certainly something on the product roadmap for sure.
And Cheryl Kerr's asking about offline connectivity, so right now it only works online, but we will be implementing this downloadable web map situation utilizing ArcGIS. So you'd be able to pick your area on your mobile device that you want available to you offline. So we'll be following sort of the way they do it in field maps, basically. That's coming soon. And we have a lot of things coming soon.
You want to pop that up on your screen real quick?
Pop what up?
Go back to the PowerPoint.
Oh. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So, we got a lot to build, and including the offline. We know for bird nest monitoring, the buffer tool will be very valuable. We believe we need to implement a measuring tool for maybe specifically transect polylines. I'm not sure if that is the only use case, but
also buffers like for the distance, buffer distances, those kinds of things.
Sort of the ability to assign color and symbol on the mobile device, so you can sort of set up your map the way you want. And then this data syncing to ArcGIS Online. And then also really interested in talking to folks about like the concept of kind of basic, just the most basic
Mhm.
figure creation, because we do pride ourselves on really having an amazing reporting or exporting engine.
Mhm.
And if we could like auto create like a single page figure with all your geospatial data there, would that be amazing? Would it not?
Mhm.
Probably be a lot of work. So we just want to understand if that's
Yeah.
something you're interested in.
Yeah, we definitely need feedback on that. Thinking about, for those of you who use Wildnote, the compilation PDF, right? That quick, super quick, really nice export. Currently, when you drop a point, you see the coordinates for that in that export, or you can choose to see a little map snippet. What's the future look like? Should we have a single page that's at the end of all of those that compiles all of the geospatial data that's been collected for that date range in a single map? What does that look like? Or do we just leave that to, the GIS folks, that kind of thing? So we'd love to get some feedback on that.
When a GNSS device is synced to Wildnote, is GNSS metadata such as fixed type accuracy, number of satellites recorded in the exported JSON? What is an available feature? That is yes, it is. Yep. We grab all that metadata.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so as Kristen mentioned at the beginning of this call, if there's anybody who wants to let us know, I think it was one of our questions, if you're interested in working with us, it would be amazing to get some people who are actually, in the trenches using this across all the spectrum, right? Field users, project managers, and GIS people. Like if you want to help us crowdsource making this thing really great, we would be so grateful for that. And you guys will really be the beneficiaries of something that you can be proud to say you were a part of.
And make it efficient for you. You'll
Yeah.
be driving for your own efficiency.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Great.
So thank you everybody for attending today. We sure appreciate it. And thanks for your great questions. And we're available for more questions. So if you think of something when you get off the call that you'd like an answer to, or you want some help integrating the current feature set into any of your existing projects, feel free to reach out to me or Rachel. And our emails are there, or support in general, and we'll be happy to help you with that. So thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.